Hello, everyone. I'm CNN meteorologist Tom Sater. I want to give you an update on what is a massive cyclone that's now developing in the Bay of Bengal. In the last 24 hours, the intensity has strengthened to that of equivalent Category 4 hurricane, and it's moving northward into one of the most vulnerable places on our planet, and that is the Delta region of Bangladesh. And of course, the population numbers there alone with Calcutta, and we'll talk about that. Take a look at the satellite imagery in the last 24 hours, developing an eye now about 10 nautical miles in diameter. From east to west, the cloud band itself, from one feeder band to another, is about 2,200 kilometers. So it's a massive storm in its size, and it continues now to make its march in a slow direction in very warm waters of the Bay of Bengal toward areas of Bangladesh and West Bengal. Notice Calcutta there. We're looking at about maybe Wednesday. We're going to be watching Wednesday night into Thursday. This Delta region is so susceptible to a storm surge, we could easily see maybe 9 meters. We could see heavy rainfall flood this flood-prone area. And when you look at the population numbers, Calcutta is home to about 14 million people. That's just Calcutta alone. If you look at the winds here, we may see winds up to 200 kilometers per hour in some of the gusts. And again, this area, very susceptible because of the infrastructure, along with building materials for many of these communities, and even the rainfall by itself, which could create massive flooding and bring a widespread risk to the threats of populations, of course, and property. But you also have that coast of Myanmar where we've got millions of refugees, the Rohingya refugees that are there, that are also always worried about the weather and the adverse effects that it has on their population. So again, as we watch Amphan here, tropical cyclone, equivalent strength to a Category 4 hurricane, could make landfall, slightly weakening, but again, in one of the most vulnerable spots on our planet, any cyclone of this size is going to cause some problems, serious problems. Now, it's not unusual to have these cyclones this time of year. Pre-monsoon cyclones, before the monsoon season in India, do typically move in this direction. Unfortunately, it's taking a direct path that could cause some serious problems and, again, risk of loss of life and property. We'll continue to keep you updated.
Millions of people in India and Bangladesh are fleeing their homes at this hour as a huge storm races in. Cyclone Amphan is packing dangerous hurricane-force winds. It has already brought heavy downpours, and major flooding is expected as it moves inland. Amphan is also hampering the response to the coronavirus in both countries.
Howling winds and heavy rain. Nature's full force is about to be unleashed. India's eastern coastline and Bangladesh across the border are bracing for the storm. Cyclone Amphan is predicted to be one of the fiercest storms to hit the region in decades, making landfall with winds up to 180 kilometers per hour. In some coastal villages, sandbags were piled up as makeshift barriers against tidal waves. More often, authorities asked people to head for shelters that were hastily being readied. But with the coronavirus spreading rapidly, this concentration of people bears its own risks.
For the first time ever, we're dealing with two disasters simultaneously. The first disaster is ongoing, COVID-19, which you all know about. And while this outbreak is happening, there is another disaster looming in the shape of the cyclone.
As the virus spreads silently and the winds begin to blow, the calm before the storm is about to come to an end.
Let's go straight now to our correspondent, Manira Chowdhury in Delhi. Good day to you, Manira. What's the latest you're hearing from the areas in the Bay of Bengal under threat?
According to the latest reports, the cyclone Amphan will be striking the Indian eastern coastal regions sometime between 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Indian local time today. So the rescue efforts the evacuation efforts are still going on. The two eastern states which will be impacted the most are West Bengal and Orissa. Multiple districts of these two states will be impacted. So according to the reports, over 400,000 people have been evacuated from these two states and have been moved to emergency shelters. According to reports, over 2 million people have been evacuated in Bangladesh as well. At the moment, the priority is to save as many lives as possible. And for that, in India, over 40 disaster management teams are on the ground. And even some sections of the Indian Navy are on standby to provide some medical aid.
Munira, how does this storm compare with past ones, past cyclones?
Well, it is being said that this is one of the most powerful cyclones to hit both the countries, India and Bangladesh. The last cyclone of such an intensity to hit was one that came in 1999, which impacted again the state of Orissa. It led to a loss of over 10,000 lives. In fact, this cyclone was in the category of a super cyclonic storm till about 24 hours ago, but lately, in the past 24 hours, the wind speed has been weakened a little, and now it is being characterized as an extremely severe storm. But nevertheless, the damage which can be caused by this cyclone is still quite bad, and it can inundate many low-lying areas.
Now, this cyclone comes as the government is, of course, enacting coronavirus containment plans. How are they being affected by this approaching storm?
Well, it is proving to be a big challenge, actually, because some of the districts in the state of West Bengal, which will be affected by the storm, are actually being identified as red zones where multiple cases of coronavirus have been detected. And of course, in the evacuation missions, it's almost next to impossible to maintain any kind of social distancing norms because a large number of people have to be put together in emergency shelters. And apart from that, there are thousands of migrant laborers who are still making their way from big cities like Delhi to these districts of West Bengal and Orissa. At the moment, they might be finding themselves stranded on their way. So at the moment, the priority is to save lives from this storm, which is about to hit the coast. But again, the efforts to curb the spread of coronavirus might take a hit in these times.
Munira, thanks so much for keeping an eye on this in Delhi.